All right, people, we're going to react to something here. I was watching this video on Billy Carson, hosted by Patrick Bet-David of Valuetainment. And the title was Jesus an Alien? But there's a specific little section here I want to cover. But more importantly than everything, there's a lot of stuff here that I actually want to cover, but I want to cover this one section first. And I may go and do different videos on this particular video because pretty interesting stuff to uncover here and unpack. And we're also going to be testing the credibility of Mr. Carson here, and that's along with like all other like speakers online that have gathered a huge following, and that's not by accident. All right, so let's hear what Mr. Carson has to say, and then I'm going to give you my points here. Pay very close attention to this section here in particular.
That way, they were Christians.
When did you stop?
I stopped probably, I say, maybe around 12 or 13. I realized something was too much. There was too much contradiction in the text. Because remember, I'm doing book reports on the biblical text. And when I got to the point where God said, I create the good and I create the evil, do what I say at the Lord. That's in Isaiah. Then I realized something was really off here, because I realized through my studies that God had killed over 3 million people in the Bible, and the Satan didn't kill anybody. So I said, wait.
So already with this particular section, and I have to listen to the rest of this video, of course, but just this part alone, this is how many people would see it, right? They would say, well, you know, Jesus killed over 3 million people, and this is what was said in the Bible. And the problem is that we're taking all of this shit literal. You know what I'm saying? It's not literal. And the whole thing is, we're gonna dissect even what the word kill actually even means. Because if you go and dissect or look up the etymology of what the word kill actually means, it's a word that has many different meanings, or has meanings that are misunderstood, just like the word God. All right? What is the root of kill? Okay, so when you look at this word, right, you have this word, and it says the word kill has multiple origins and root words: cis, sid, and side. So when you see the word side, the suffix for the word side, you'll see that it actually you'll see the word homicide, suicide, but then you got the word decide. Understand this, that when you make a decision, you're creating a death to a particular opposing party. So let's say you're choosing between either two or many. Okay, the fact that you choose one or multiple but discard one, you cut that one out, then you killed that particular decision. Okay, based on your decision, you killed that particular part or movement or party, let's say. Okay, this word kill has many meanings. Okay, when you jerk off and you ejaculate, there's deaths of thousands of sperm cells. Okay, and here's another thing: your body consists of cells. Your body is Christ. This is the body of Christ. And understand this, that just by unconscious decisions or by lack of knowledge, my people will perish. You will see that eating garbage foods that are not conducive to the body will create a huge problem for you, because you start to create death of many cells. Unnecessary stresses in life, whether it be through relationships or work, things that don't matter. They only matter or materialize because you put your attention on it based on a decision you've made. So you decided to get away from the spiritual nature of things, which is God. And again, God has many different meanings, which I'll get into. And you decided to basically just indulge in just the physical. Before I get into all this, I want to let Mr. Carson over here finish, though.
A minute. Something's a little off here. He's killing everybody, and Satan didn't kill anybody. And so we have to...
And before I even let him move on, there's a reason why Satan can't kill anybody. Okay? So when you look at this physical realm, okay, it's predominantly good. And when you look at this good as the realm of light, it has to be in harmony and conducive for things to actually materialize and give you a conducive life. Okay, things have to be in harmony to some extent. And that harmony is what we would consider the word love, the glue that holds things together. Okay, you could be doing something that's considered heinous to somebody else, but the fact that it's organized and structured, it's got harmony. It still has that frequency of love to it, even though it's rooted out of a negative state. But the negative state is nothing but a chemistry that you're grounding to power up a reality that you have. It's no different than if I have a microwave, I want to get power into the microwave, I'm plugging in a positive and a negative charge to the wall, and I also have a neutral ground, right? So it's not to say I'm going to discard the negative prong because it's bad. You need both of them to actually power up your appliance. So there is no bad and good. Okay? So it's subjective. The only thing that's objective in this world is your human body and the expression of it, as far as what you would be an expression of, either a man or a woman. Because everything here is ran on twos. Everything in between are just going to be expressions of the color spectrum. So when you see like the LGBTQ rainbow, it's not to take it literal, where if a boy tends to have feminine tendencies as far as how he expresses himself, it doesn't mean that he's supposed to be a girl. No, some men just have feminine expression, right? Because if you're just somebody who has predominantly masculine expressions, then you just have more masculine energy. There's women who carry more masculine energy, but you don't take it literal. You don't say that that girl is supposed to be a boy, right? She just has more masculine traits. And based on this, she'll be conducive to certain things in life, but it doesn't make her gay. In fact, I've seen the most masculine dudes and they're actually the gayest ones, but they're not the sissy type. They just have a sexual orientation or sexual preference to like the same sex, which is basically a mental imbalance. And I'll get into this because this goes down to a spiritual nature. Okay? But when you look at why Satan couldn't kill anybody, Satan is basically the negative side of the force. So when you look at women, their god or their daddy is Satan. Okay? But that's an alkaline side of chemistry. So it's a regenerative side of chemistry. But imbalanced, it's destructive because it's nothing but death. Because why do you think when a body dies, it becomes cold, right? And cold is more alkaline. When there's life to something, you see warmth. So there's a paradox here. But when something is acidic and it's inflammatory, then now it's destructive. It's the destructive side of the chemistry. We have the carbon side, the alkaline side, and then we have the acidic side, that's the nitrogen side. But the nitrogen side is the building blocks of life, right? And I'm going to get into how this is beneficial for a child growing up, right? And how this is conducive to the child due to the fact that it's working with its growth hormone. But when an adult is already fully grown, it's about keeping their foundation sturdy. So now you start going toward the what? Carbon side of chemistry, right? But we'll get into that because that'll make the video crazy. So when you see that Jesus destroyed 3 million people, I mean, you are Christ, but you're unconscious. When you have Christ consciousness, then you know that you are putting life to things. And the way you do that is by ensuring that if you're truly a healer, you know how to heal your body. That you're putting light to your body because your eye is single. You traveled up the 33rd vertebra, okay? This life force energy climbed up to the upper heavens, which is the head, okay? The heaven, and then it traveled back down, grounded the energy, okay? But if not, if you've never climbed up, then you'll stay in hell. That's how you get Satan, get behind me. What's behind you? The lowest part of your body would be your heels, and it's behind you, okay? The heels it's hell, okay? The soles of your feet is where you ground your energy. And then when you have this reflexology point, you'll notice that the toes correlate to certain points and organs in the body, especially your respiration, which I see the word spirit in there. Everything comes down to movement and chemistry. This realm is ran in twos, black and white. The rainbow is how you perceive your life. So some people may see their world very, very like hot. Some people may see it a little cooler. It just depends, you know. This is why you have expressions. But See, you in this realm have the ability to kill and destroy based on your actions. You are doing it through unconscious choices and unconscious decisions. Okay, because you have not, this is really self-mastery and self-awareness, where you don't let the things of the world influence you, where you're the one making the decisions. That's you truly being the conductor of your train. If not, then you're being trained by society outside of you. You're nothing but one of the carts on the train, and somebody else is the conductor. This is how you have mind control. This is how you have all this shit outside of you ruling and governing you. When in actuality, the same way you see corruption outside of you and the government and whatnot, what is the government of your body? Your mind. But if you're not in control of your mind, somebody else is in control of your mind, and then you'll feel corruption and you'll not be aware that you're projecting it from within you, and you'll start pointing the fingers outside of you, and all you do is get stuck in the same repetitive loop. All because you're unaware and you're pointing fingers outside of you. When in actuality, it's about reflecting. Sit back, take your time, breathe, and reflect on life. You'll notice that it's not always going to be a direct mirror. The same way, if I'm raising my right hand in the mirror, it looks like I'm raising my left hand. So in life, the mirrors aren't always going to be direct. It may be an indirect mirror. But if you take your time, then you'll know that you can see that you're the one that's basically projecting your reality from the heart space. But somebody controls your heart rate frequency, so you're not aware. You're not able to think from that space. Look at the word kill. A lot of people say, hey man, I'm just gonna sit here for a little bit. I'm just killing time. What does that mean? You're just killing time. What are you doing in the meantime? Because you got something to do, but you got spare time, so you just kill time. Think about what that means to you. Who's in control of your time? Your heart is connected to time. And depending on your heart rate frequency determines the frequency that you experience outside of you. When people say be the frequency you want to receive, it's not by saying I'm going to go be a nice person and I'm going to say hi to everybody and I'm going to be a cool person to everybody because that's the frequency I want to receive. Or you know what that is? You're selling it because you're thinking. You're thinking about it. When it's unconditional, it comes from the heart space. You're adding the intellect. This person here is adding a lot of intellect to his philosophies. A lot of studying, which you can respect. But I'm going to let him finish.
Really take a look, and the deeper I dug into Deuteronomy, then I realized there's something wrong. What it was at that moment, I couldn't figure out, but I just knew something was a little off. I dabbled in it again later on to see maybe if there was something that I missed. And again, later on in my life, in my late 20s, I said, just doesn't make any sense. There's too many question marks. And every time you ask a question, they say, don't question God. Don't question the Lord. Blind faith. And I'm thinking, if I'm going to put all of my eternity into one book, if I'm saying this one book is going to lead me to eternity, and I don't know everything about it, every aspect about it, I can't question it, I can't dig deeper to get more knowledge out of it, then I think there's something wrong with that. I think there's something being hidden from me. And I'd rather be able to dig deeper, get more knowledge, get more understanding, versus people shunning me away from trying to dig deeper to get more answers. And I think that's a big problem. And I think the people that are shunning away and stopping you from getting those answers don't have the answers themselves.
When you went through this journey.
So this whole thing, when it comes down to the things hiding from you and whatnot, again, I mean, the only thing that's hiding the true you is your ego. But you put the energy there first and foremost before anything else. In the physical. The ego is the illusion. So this is the problem here. I mean, we all carry to both sides of energy. We carry acidity, we carry alkalinity. What we're predominantly in depends on what we're eating, what we're listening to. And then your life and what you get back, everything correlated together is called attitude. What is your attitude like? Your attitude toward life. Because your attitude toward life is the relationship you have with life. When you look at death has many, many, many different meanings. So when you have this killing time, that's one thing you'll never get back is time. But when you put death to things, right, it's about evolving. So let's say, for example, you're in a toxic relationship. In order for you to excel, you would have to change yourself first. Because if you break up with somebody because you're aware that they're very toxic and you haven't been aware that it's a mirror aspect of yourself, so you actually did the shadow work and decided to change yourself. Because if not, what you're going to do is, again, like I mentioned, being in the same repetitive loop, pointing fingers. All you do is attract another person. I mean, the same person in another body. The same toxic individual you had before, you'll attract that same person in another body. And that's because you've never changed. Another thing that's super important is how you see yourself. I carry this masculine and I carry this feminine energy within me. And a lot of these red pillars, left wings, and even the fucking conservatives, they're all fucking lost. Technology was created in the image of man. Man was created in the image of God. What is God? We stopped being God-man to be more human. That's how we disconnected from God, because we attached ourselves to the technology of humanity. Humanity is feminine energy. Technology is feminine energy. The same way the woman came out the rib of Adam, that's the man creating technology, all right? And it came into fruition, all right, from the man. But here's the thing though, out of darkness comes light. So even though Adam appeared to be a man, okay, or should we say an androgynous being, in order for it to manifest even in the physical realm, it had to come out of darkness. And it was created with the word. The word, vibrations, sound, frequency, intention. You're a vibrational being. So in other words, when we think about what is God, your parents are God. Matter of fact, your parents are the physical manifestation of God. The split in duality, that it's an illusion. So in order for you to even be here physically, you had to create a portal. So you definitely created your parents. And Billy Carson here talks about how he was given a name and whatnot. He talks about how your life is a dream and everything's an illusion. Were you ever born? Do you ever die in your dream, or did you just appear there? Your name was given to you by your parents, but you created your parents. So in other words, you gave yourself that name. For what reason? What is your assignment? I've said this in my previous video. What is your assignment? You're calling on Jesus. Call your name. Call my name. Whatever name you want to associate with, that's the frequency that you're attached to. That's your frequency. The same way you have a social security number. The same way you have a birth certificate. That deals with the body of Christ. That awareness, when you become a sovereign being and you separate yourself from humanity, meaning you overcome humanity, you're born again of the Father, which is the one, because I just told you humanity is feminine energy. So you become part of humanity. When you overcome humanity and you're not, the Bible says you're in the world but not of it. So what do? You use that frequency, right? It says worship your slave master. What does that even mean, man? Who is the slave master? And what does the word slave even mean? You're looking at the word slave because you're programmed to believe what slavery through history means. When the word slave came from the word Slav. The Slavs. And it's a waterway, a water channel. The word slave. You're only a slave if you perceive your life to be that you're in slavery. But because here's the thing though, if you're bound by your ego and you're not riding the dragon, you don't have dominion over that animal kingdom, which is basically your root chakra, then that's where the whole word slavery comes from. And it'll manifest as mental slavery. But even that manifestation of mental slavery, they had to give you a story about history telling you what actual physical slavery is. When in actuality, technology has become more advanced, even the way that people become enslaved. The whole Anunnaki thing he talks about, the miners, the gold, the people for mining gold. What do we call children? The kids, the goats. We call them miners. Why do we say gold miners? That's the son of God. So if I have a son, that's the son of God. When we talk about people overall, we say mankind. Why do we not include women there? I'll tell you why. Because all that is just words. When you look at the word person, everybody has a persona. Person is a percentage of the sun. Everybody's a sunbeam with different shades. You got black people, you got white people, you got Asian people who tend to be more orange or yellow. You have Indians who tend to be a little bit more on the, let's say like reddish orangey side, darker hue. You got Spanish people, caramel color, maybe a little tan, who knows? But you got all the colors of the rainbow there. Some people are so black that they tend to be blue. So think about this: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Everybody's got these color hues within them. Let me let him finish here.
That you're going through. Are your parents seeing you go through the self-actualization where you're having your own philosophies? Are they watching you, witnessing you going through this?
Oh, yeah.
So how old were you when they're watching this?
Pretty much from 7 all the way up. I mean, they gradually saw me changing. When I was 7 years old, I realized one thing. This is what changed my whole life. My friends kept going to the ice cream truck. They had money every day, even though we were in the ghetto, poor, broke. We had nothing. We were getting money donated to us from local church and other people in the neighborhood. And we were taking showers outside in the backyard because we didn't have water on. We'd plug the hose into our neighbor's house. And I'm saying, how in the hell can they afford the ice cream truck every single day? So I go out.
All right, so let me get back into the slavery word real quick, all right? Because the word slavery, all right, you got mental slavery. But if you look at this is actually pretty important when it comes to the word slavery. Okay? Do you notice how even like certain people through lack of knowledge, you can have a garden. And if you don't sustain your garden the way it is designed in nature, you tend to become a slave to your land just to become more resourceful. Where with a little bit of knowledge, your garden can mimic nature. Who's watering or taking care of the trees in nature? They take care of themselves. There's a mycelium network. When you understand the as above, so below, as within, so without, you'll understand that what's underneath works with what's above. I'm gonna put my camera on. This way you can see me talking and we can be a little bit more personable. So like I was saying, when it comes down to, look at the word angels and demons. Do you notice how they say that angels can never work with demons? That's if you are in a garden that you're not aware of how everything works with each other. Okay? That's like somebody saying men can't work with women. I'm going to tell you how these things actually happen. You know what the beauty part about humanity is? We have aspects of demonic natures and we have the aspects of angelic natures. You see, these angels are angels, okay? But they're never meant to fall, okay? And demons are never meant to be above ground. They're never up. They were never meant to rise out of hell. But you know what the beauty thing about humans is that if you fall, you have the ability to get back up. You fall like an angel, you have the ability to get back up. So you're not bound by these things. These things are tools to work for you. So I'm going to explain to you how these things actually work with you, okay? Because you're using these energies. The same way a tree, okay, uses the mycelium network underneath. Like we have the soles of our feet. If we know how to plant ourselves on the soil, we can work with chemistry. The mycelium network feeds the tree from underneath, okay? And this mycelium network feeding the tree from underneath, okay, is feeding everything from underneath. The tree, in actuality, but I don't even know if I was recording, but whatever. The tree from underneath feeds the tree above. So everything that's happening above, that nourishment from the sun, the nitrogen from the air, everything, it gets fed down through the trunk, down to the mycelium network. In kind, the mycelium network feeds the tree from underneath. So it's a symbiotic relationship happening. If something happens along the way where that tree gets sick and it's no longer able to sustain that mycelium network underneath, you know what ends up happening? That mycelium network or the fungal network actually ends up eating the tree from underneath. That's why you see the pretty mushrooms growing on the side of the trees. And people say, look how pretty that looks. Okay? When you look at something like this, okay, you would say, that's interesting because it's eating the tree from underneath. It's eating the tree inside out. Okay? When you don't have these lower natures under your dominion or under control, at least structured, because that's what masculine energy does. It guides the feminine energy, which is what's in darkness. Then it will consume you. It will take over you. Women will tend to consume your shit. And the word kill, okay, the etymology, there's words such as strike or stroke, all right, a big blow, or what was the other word? Yeah, stroke, whatever. You know what's funny though? The word stroke, like I told you before, when you masturbate and you ejaculate, you're creating a mass murder. If you're stressed out, you're creating a mass murder of a bunch of cells because you're not aware of how to manage your situation. That's not being in masculine energy. A feminine man is very emotional. He tends to let things overtake him and consume him because he's not grounded. Okay? So you create this energy from the root chakra, you bring it up to the solar plexus, you bring it to the gateway of the heart because this is the projector. This is where you balance things out. This is the middle, Midgard, earth. The anagram for heart is earth. You bring it up to the upper realms. You create a sound, the vibration, okay? You bring it up to where you're perceiving your reality now. And if it's balanced, okay, this is how you see your world. This is the dome. This is the flat land that you see. You're seeing the reality through these blinds, okay? But you got to have the motor moving. Because if the motor is not moving, it'll be like a car with the headlights on and the motor's off. You're going to fucking feel tired. Who charges your batteries? Where do you get this energy from? How do you feel this vitality? That's why it's important to be able to, because look, you can go to the gym, okay? If I go to the gym and work out, I can have more energy through the day. But then here's the paradox. You could be in your couch, be a couch potato and be lazy. You're conserving energy. But how is it that you're lazy? You're just laying there doing nothing. Because your eyes are open, paying attention to something, right? Where if you're working out, what are you doing? Look at the paradox here. When you work out, your heart rate's moving, right? And that's a cardiovascular effect because the heart's a valve. Your lungs are the pump. So when you work out, it's a detoxifying effect. Why? Because you're sweating, you're breathing harder, and 70% of your toxins are eliminated through breathing. Why? Because when you work out, what are you creating? Lactic acid, right? Notice how I'm combining chemistry here, acid and alkaline, and how things balance out, but we don't realize this. Why do you need to drink water when you're working out? So I want you to pay attention to this carefully. You breathe harder because your body's trying to balance out these acids you're creating while working out, which is called lactic acid. Okay? But now, here's the thing though. Resting is also a detoxifying effect because the body needs energy to detox. Like say you have a dangerous pathogen in your body. You know what the body's going to do? It's going to force you to get into bed by making you feel horrible, raising the temperature of a fever, and it's going to actually kill your appetite so that you don't go consume food, because when you consume food, you're robbing energy from the body when the body needs that energy to actually heal. It's a detoxifying effect. What the doctors tell you to do is hydrate properly. But even hydration is misunderstood because people don't understand how to hydrate their body. Hydration is breathing properly. There's water in the air. Hydration is eating watermelons, eating grapes. Why? Because hydration, the key to it is actually cooling your body off, is alkalizing your body. You ever dump water in like rock hard soil in the middle of a 100-degree weather day? It just fucking splatters off the floor. It doesn't even absorb it. But when the environment is cooler, the soil tends to absorb the moisture a lot more. Why is this important? The Bible tells you man comes from the soil, he dies, he goes back to the soil. It's very important to hydrate yourself. And here's what I was going to get to when it comes to the nitrogen and carbon side of chemistry. When you're born, and when you're in the womb of your mom, you're 100% water, right? You notice how kids come out, they're flexible, malleable, they're open-minded. They're like a recorder. They're receiving. They're receiving. What does that mean? That means that a kid is actually feminine energy. Up until they become an individual, Now they have a little more expression of masculine energy, but they're running on programs. The programs that were given to them from the ages of 1 to 7. Okay? But they're an individual, but they're not fully an individual. They're still guided by their parents, which is being guided by God, mom and dad. This is why the parents being together is very important. But particularly the dad being there is very important. And it has to be the biological father, because that's your direct lineage of, like, let's say whatever it may be that makes you an individual here and whatever traumas you may have. And here's the thing though. Whenever you have situations like depression and whatnot, whatever it may be, or let's say addictive tendencies, I made it in my last video, is to actually become aware of them, observe them, sit with them, feel into them, and work them out. Do you know you're healing ancestral DNA like this? So whatever tendencies you may have that are heinous, that are not accepted by society to some extent, okay, you don't act them out, because when you start to meditate and you center yourself, and I just told you about this whole process of Christ consciousness, you will do unto others as you truly want done unto you, but it won't be in a hypocritical way, or in a way where I just said be the frequency you want to receive. You're being a hypocrite or selling it. No, when I say treat your neighbor as you would yourself, you're aware on a quantum level, because you see, the separation between me and you is an illusion. Duality is an illusion, but we operate on polarities, but we're not of it. But we use chemistry of polarities. Again, I'm going to plug the outlet to the wall so I can power my appliance. The same way with the body. You use masculine and feminine energy. I have testosterone, but I also have estrogen in my body. Okay? And that estrogen is used to my advantage. When I connect with that estrogen, okay, and I keep it in a healthy ratio, then I'm able to know how the chemistry works on the outside of my life as well. Where in actuality, it may be situations that you may feed into that necessarily didn't need your attention, but only because your ego was so fucking bloated or inflated that it overcame your logical, reasonable thinking mind. So you became emotional and you reacted. That's feminine energy. Catty. Look at dogs and cats, right? Dogs and cats. Dogs would represent more of the masculine energy, man's best friend. Cats represent more of the feminine energy. Okay, do you notice how the sun is masculine, the moon is feminine? Do you notice how wolves is where dogs are basically originated from? And when you look at the wolves, they howl at the moon, right? Do you notice how dogs chase cats? But think about this though. When you start to talk about man and woman, and I actually said this before as far as persons, even though a woman is a woman and a man is a man, it's two totally different sides of the spectrum, they're still both persons. So people will start arguing when you say, oh, that's like comparing apples to oranges. Okay, you say I'm comparing apples to oranges, but it's still comparing fruit. So when you say man and woman, you're considering to compare people. Okay? And when you talk about cats and dogs, you're still dealing with animals either way. Even us, we're part of that animal kingdom. But the animals you see outside of you, as far as dogs, wolves, cats, fish, we are projecting that into our reality. It's a mirror aspect of ourselves. But we only see the animals that are here in existence. What about the ones that are extinct or the ones that are unknown? You know what's funny? People say they start arguing about going outer space or trying to find a way to get under the water. How far under the water has people been able to go? See, that's what they keep you thinking, that we don't have that technology. You are the technology. Area 51 is a secret base for a reason, because your body's the latest piece of technology. All this Anunnaki shit, all that is all fucking stories of you. You are all these things, and we condense it all into one, the main technology. So when we talk about what the more advanced something technologically is, the smaller it is. Back then, the big, huge things were obsolete. Do you notice how phones were like gigantic, and then they came out with these little ass fucking phones like this? Because they were more advanced. Now all of a sudden, the bigger the screens, again, the better it is. With technology, you'll notice that we actually become somehow weaker and more retarded. So the more that we depend on technology to give us answers is no different than we separated from God and became more of an individual, became more man, but the ego became so bloated and inflated that we manifested corruption outside of ourselves in the form of government, in the form of politics, in the form of religion, all trying to apparently appear allegedly to hide things from us, when it's really a manifestation of our ego, basically hiding things from us, hiding the real you from you. And really, there is no you. There is no cause of anything. So when we talk about, Jesus killed 3 million people, what Jesus killed 3 million people? You know what the funny thing is, though? The fact that supposed this person existed as a man is the reason why you're even here alive. I'll give you the title that you're God. When you die, the world ends. Nothing outside of you exists. But from my perspective, I'm here. And the reason I'm experiencing my reality is because you existed. So the same way, if I die, none of you motherfuckers exist. From my perspective, from your point of view and perspective, you continue on and you're observing my dead body. But that's because I existed is the reason that you continue to live on. So this whole Jesus thing is a man that existed, which gave the possibility for all of you to exist as a mirror aspect of it, enduring the sins of the world. You are the walking cross here. Your body is the cross. And you die on the cross. You ascend from the tomb and rise up into heaven. But you do this while you're alive. And when you're aware, you become self-aware. When you pass on, okay, then this is where you have an awareness of self. You overcame humanity. Because here's the thing, though. If you're not aware of situations, just the same way people keep repeating the same negative loops in their life and they feel like they're in prison, man, how the fuck do I get out of this situation in life? I feel like my life is a living hell. I keep repeating the same negative patterns. It's unawareness. The moment that they become aware and they can change the program, which you could be motivated, but the changing program part is going to come down to enduring some pain and trials and tribulations, kind of like a drug addict, enduring those withdrawal symptoms. So when you endure these things, you have to have discipline. And that word discipline comes from the word disciples. Those are virtues and principles. So when you're supported by your disciples, which we have 12 astrological animals that we somehow are guided by, when in actuality, we designed that as the mathematical equation of how we even live here in our life. But you're not at the mercy of any of these things. You could be influenced, but you also know how to manage around these things. Mercury retrogrades and all that shit. I mean, you're overcoming humanity and you have dominion over the animal kingdom. There's a energy because the collective consciousness goes through cycles. So you're going to have astrological energies, certain things happening, and it's up to you to conduct yourself accordingly to be able to manage yourself in the chaotic waters of whatever cycles appear to happen in this realm that we call Earth and life. The woman, man, I love women. But do you think that these fucking podcasters talking crap about women and basically saying that a man who stands up for the woman is a fucking simp? Look at these fucking women who are married to these fucking like extreme conservative right-wing fucking dudes. They basically simp for the man. It's like they don't see the fucking shit that they point the finger at. It's like a vegan. A vegan pointing the finger at somebody who says they're all for murder, torture, slavery, and all that. But meanwhile, they're doing the same thing in an evolved form. They're doing it in an evolved form. So they can go, they look for debates. That's how their movements work. Their movements are ran on debates. And the whole thing is they can be full of shit, but they're like the court system. They have the best strategies to be able to use the right words to maneuver and basically have them win a debate only based on certain debate tactics. It's like somebody having a great lawyer, right? And they really committed the crime, but they got out only because the lawyer was able to get them out of that situation. It's like that. So they're able to say, create an argument or bullshit, whatever way it may be. But if you're able to come out of the way that system is structured, believe it or not, you can overcome anybody throwing anything at you, only because sovereignty is always going to win. Wisdom is always going to beat any form of knowledge that was created by man outside of you. So when you have all these things that they start to use certain words like kill and murder and all that type of stuff, man-made concepts. Okay? Man-made concepts. They'll debate this whole abortion thing, which I'll get into another video on that. But really breaking it down, your body consists of trillions of cells. Sentient cells. And if you value life, or if you're in that position, you better have some very, very good evidence to support your claims. I don't know what else Billy Carson talked about. I'm going to actually make some more videos. I just found it very necessary. I wish I can debate these type of people. And it's really for my benefit, because I want to really dig down into the root of where these things actually come from, where these movements arise from. Where does the ideas that certain people have actually stem and come from? I haven't read any books, but I use these people to my advantage. I let them do all the studying, to be honest with you, and then I'm going to listen to them. Okay? And then, you know what's beautiful about this reality is you can use common sense. But if you know how to use the real thinking mind, then you can start to actually pinpoint certain holes in people's philosophies or people's strategies and how they present themselves. Because believe me, I've had debates with some religious folks, friendly ones, nothing contentious or anything like that. But down at the root core of things, they don't even know. They just followed their parents. Because their parents are God. We'll talk soon.